All right, welcome everybody back to the Future Proof podcast. Today we are talking about something every growing business depends on, but few truly understand until something breaks. IT stability and cybersecurity. I'm joined today by Aegis IT Solutions. It's a managed IT and cybersecurity firm helping organizations stay secure, compliant, and operational in an environment where downtime and cyber risk are no longer acceptable. In this episode, we're breaking down what future-proof IT really looks like and where most businesses are still exposed. So, Ilya, thank you so much for joining me today.
Awesome to be here, Alex. Thank you.
Yeah, so why don't you go a little bit about kind of what your business is, kind of why you guys started Aegis and kind of where you guys are, who you help.
So I launched Aegis in 2015 when I moved to South Florida, basically helping companies getting into the cloud services space and SaaS services to be secure and be compliant. 10 years ago, compliance, everybody thought that just because they're running in AWS or Azure or GCP, well, GCP wasn't really around back then, but AWS and Azure, they're secure and they are compliant, and they were basically using Microsoft's and Amazon's SOC 2 certifications to demonstrate their compliance. And then what started happening is their clients were saying, well, the data center is compliant, that's great, but how your implementation of the services, we need to know, make sure the controls are in place. Companies are like, huh? So, we came in and assisted them with it. From there, we started servicing more of the brick and mortar companies, and then we were being asked, well, okay, you guys do our security, can you just take care of our IT stuff as well? And then we started kind of helping them with that as well.
Got it. So, for your business right now, are you primarily still just helping kind of that B2B SaaS, or are you kind of branching off into basically kind of everyone that kind of needs that service? Or you niche down?
So we have three primary verticals. The number one is still SaaS, primarily with companies that are regulated and fintech. And then we work with also our other vertical is professional services, and our third vertical is automotive. We work a lot of auto.
Well, it's awesome. That's good to have those kind of identified, key, is there any one of those three verticals that, obviously they all need your help the most, but is there one of the other that are a little bit more technically needing that service, especially with like the ones that are regulated? Or obviously the home services, companies still have, sensitive information, about their clients. Is there one that needs your services more than the other?
From a need perspective, I think automotive, hands down. Just think through the car buying process,
Cool. Yeah.
what information you're providing and where it's going and how many touch points there are. We just heard about, 700 credit pack a couple of weeks ago, or last week actually. And then there was this huge CDK outage a year ago. There is, these guys are under constant attack because they literally have troves of information. So this, I think, is from a need perspective, number one, hands down.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I didn't even think about that as a factor, but yeah, I mean, I bought a car a couple months ago and they literally took, most of the information other than probably buying a home. They're going through basically everything about yourself. Okay, well, awesome. On a day-to-day business, if you are going to help, let's just say a car's, car lot or a car company that's selling cars, getting people's information, what are you doing to kind of onboard them and kind of diagnose kind of where you can help and kind of where maybe there might some holes might be in their business?
So the first thing we do is look at their workflows. One thing I've learned is in any organization, I don't care how big or small it is, unless it's like a 1-2 person shop, you have a workflow that the C-level thinks is in place. You have the workflow as mid-level management understands it. And then you have a workflow that is actually on the ground. And those three do not always match up. So, every time you go in and you see a sales guy take a picture of your license with their personal cell phone, and then, well, how are they going to transfer it? Are they going to upload it? Are they going to use their SMS, the phone's SMS to text it to themselves, or they're going to email to themselves, and it's just go in there and start uncovering things to understand where the data might reside, because only there can we figure out how do we secure it, how do we protect it.
Yeah. I mean, because on a day-to-day level, I guarantee you that, without education and, maybe that's where you guys come in with a lot of like, kind of education pieces as well for like the salespeople on the floor. I mean, they're not really thinking they want to close the deal. They want to get things done. So yeah, if someone has like maybe a pay stub that they bring in or like an ID and they take pictures of it and then they email themselves, they're not thinking what the repercussions of that could actually be.
Exactly.
Okay, well, awesome. So, when can you share kind of like a real example of like proactive or preventative IT that you guys have helped, maybe even like a car dealership or home services or anything like that, like in like real time?
I mean, what we do a lot of is we do on-site security testing, like penetration testing, but we actually go in and we try to identify gaps in the processes. We had a situation where we went to a one of our clients' stores, and I saw the document shredding bill bin was kind of overflowing. So I simply stuck my hand in and pulled it out. It was a bunch of license copies and registration copies. And with that information, I mean, I have everything I need to do anything I want with the person at that point. So the one key thing that people need to understand is, even though we live in a very high tech world, low tech is the number one venue to compromise. You can still, in a lot of places, go in and just jump onto a wireless network and people will share the passwords with you. I've had situations where we would go to a store or a building, even, a secured location, spend 5 minutes talking to a security guard, ingratiate ourselves with them, and then they would actually just let us in, even though 5 minutes ago they did not know us from Peter. People assume a lot, and all you have to do is just find that path to acknowledgement, and they'll let you in.
Interesting. Interesting. So, going off of that, so if you're diagnosing a client or a company and really looking at things, what is like a really big, warning sign for you that's saying that there's a big, gap in certain thing? Is it the people? Is it the processes? Is it education? Where are you finding that like the biggest gap?
It's across the board. The number one gap, obviously, is people. The number two gap, I think, is false sense of security. A lot of people assume that because they have IT people on staff, that they're secured. A lot of people assume that because they use cloud-hosted solutions, they are secured. Nothing could be further from the truth, especially, and the smaller the organization, the more profound that gap is. If you go to a hospital, things are pretty secure. If you go to a two-person medical office, I've been situations where I would take my kid to medical office and then other patient's information is there for display for you just to get it. And they think they're secure because their electronics medical record solution that they use is secured. And I'm
Yeah,
like, well, I'm on your computer and I have all backend access, but nothing is locked down. So guess what? If this is the case and nothing gets locked up, at the end of the day, then your cleaning people have that same access too, and you have no idea who's on staff there, or your security guard, or whoever else. And people just cannot make that extrapolation. They just cannot gain that understanding that to parlay into your home security, you may have the best alarm system in the world, but if your front door is open, then it's absolutely irrelevant.
yeah. Or you don't arm it. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, like that's what. So now, if you come into a business and you notice, let's just say, like you said, the number one thing is people. How are you helping them kind of close those loops and make their people less of a threat to them internally? How are you doing that? Are you doing education? Are you doing, like the tests where you send, maybe like ransom emails and, they're basically fake and they click on them and then you can kind of show them real time maybe that would have been like a cyber attack or like kinda how are you doing that?
Yeah, I mean, we do pen tests, we do ransomware simulations, we do phishing tests, and we show potential impact to the people. Oftentimes, what really works well is shock and awe,
Yeah,
where they would say, okay, can you check it out? I'm like, all right, but I'm not going to tell you when I'm doing it. I'll tell you when I'm done. And then, you would call the person and say, hey, by the way, I just did this. And at that person, they're paying attention because they realize that they just got caught with their pants down.
got it. Got it, got it. Okay. Alright, well, I mean, like, so for you guys, for Aegis, what is your right now, 2025, going into 2026, what is one of your big initiatives or kind of like focuses to grow your business?
We are trying to do a more strategic approach to sales and marketing. We have a few things in the pipeline. We've expanded our sales and marketing team over the year. We are looking at, we have been using different AI tools to help enhance our marketing posture,
Yeah,
trying to pay very close attention into where are the gaps in the process. Okay, so first let's get people to the website. Now let's get people from the website to actually start calling in. Now, okay, now we have leads coming in. Let's work on the sales process. One of the biggest challenges that I faced working with various organizations is marketing it's a numbers game. We know this. This is not new. But I'm astonished at how few quote unquote marketing professionals can actually show how impressions and followers and views translate into market qualified leads, and then how the market qualified leads translate into sales qualified leads. And to me it's like, okay, if you cannot explain to me this, then what are we talking about?
sure. So that's a big focus on your guys' and marketing sales. Initially, is there anything, that you've went through in the past that maybe a IT company that's looking to scale or grow a little bit, maybe some tribulations or trials that you guys have went through that maybe someone can learn from you that not to do?
Growing pains are very real. And we've doubled in size year over year for 2 years straight. Which means so the platforms and solutions we used when we were a five-person company started falling at the seams when we became an 8 to 9 person company.
No.
Now we're at 13 and we're going to be at 20 next year, and it's it's very different. Your expenses are very different. Your processes are going to make you or break you. And if you do not pay attention to your standard operating procedures, if you are not diligent and passionate about ensuring that your internal processes operate at their best and you don't review them to make sure they still apply, then it's good. You either won't grow or you will fail when you grow.
Yeah, I mean, you sound like, like you guys have, your identified processes, SOPs and standard operating procedures, but if you don't follow them or have a really clear, path on how to, optimize them, I think the problem with a lot of companies and a lot of, people trying to scale is that they make all these processes, but they just never really revisit them after they create them and they don't put it to, effect. It's just kind of like this shiny piece of paper that gets thrown into the desk. I think with all of my business, I we have them out and, on the desks and, or in a computer or whatever, Notion or whatever program you have, and they're, viewed at multiple times a day or basically throughout the entire like sales and marketing process. So I think that's a really good point. So this could help, basically another kind of word of advice, but this is more for the people that you help. So if a business owner is listening today that could take one more step this quarter to reduce their risk of a cybersecurity attack, what would you tell them to do?
So, especially if they're using Microsoft 365, go through their business best practices analyzer on their portal and look at what you're giving permissions to. One thing we've been noticing a lot is things like AI note takers that have elevated permissions because you just give it to them. Software being provided by vendors requesting granular admin access to your tenant. Why do they need it? So take a gander at what has access to your data and then take action to minimize it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you don't even think about the note takers or, when you're setting up that Google Suite or Outlook or whatever it is. I mean, you kind of set up those permissions and you kind of set them and forget them. So yeah, it's a really good idea to go in there and kind of see what they're at. Okay, well, awesome. So if someone wants to get in touch with Aegis and talk to you on a level, if they're a SaaS company, even a local business or, a home services company, kind of what is the best way to get in touch with you, get in contact and kind of maybe get in the talks of, getting you guys taking a look at their business and see how you can help them.
The best way is to our website, aegisitsolutions.net. Otherwise, I mean, we are on Facebook, we are on LinkedIn. You can ping me directly. I'm pretty accessible and pretty open to communicate with people. And again, if you just have a question, say, hey, we're doing this, we're thinking about, I don't know, getting certified, or we're thinking about going after government contracts, or we're concerned about vendor breaches, like how should we go about it? Reach out, we'll give you some basic pointers, some basic advice. We don't judge for that. And then, if you need actual help down the line, if you need some consulting, we'll help you out.
Interesting. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Likewise, Alex. Thank you so much. Bye bye.